conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
President Trump also telling Reuters in that interview he hopes to resolve the crisis peacefully through new economic sanctions and with the cooperation of a determined China, but the use of force was not off the table. America's top commander Harry Harris in the Pacific saying our Thermal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD as it's known, is ready to go in a matter of days there in South Korea. It is a missile defense system costing about $1 billion, by the way, that President Trump says that South Korea should pay for, and the USS Carl Vinson Group could be ready within hours if they have to strike. Guys?
That's right. All right, Griff, thank you very much. The president also in that interview said that he hopes that Kim Jong-un is rational enough to engage in diplomacy because we're ready if there's trouble. But nonetheless, the president made it very clear he would prefer diplomacy.
Yeah, I mean, he said... we interviewed him and we interviewed his son, Eric. They both said we pray for peace, first of all. We're going to try to have diplomacy, and that's why we need that relationship with China. That's right. Most important. And then the next step could be taking military action.
Kim Jong-un, not insane, according to the Secretary of State, but we don't know if he's acting rationally. Here he is, Rex Tillerson, yesterday, talking to Bret Baier in an interview that aired on Special Report about the role of China.
We're asking a lot of the Chinese. I think in the past the assumption has been the Chinese would only take limited action. We're going to test that assumption. We're going to test their willingness to help us address this serious threat that is not only one to the region and to us, but is becoming a threat to China themselves. And so we're asking that they evaluate the situation.
Absolutely. So, meanwhile, how do you feel about it? Brand new Fox News poll out. Take a look right here. U.S. taking military action to stop North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Are you for it or against it? A majority of Americans, 53 to 39, are for it at this point.
What will stop North Korea's nuclear weapons program? 51% in this Fox News poll said U.S. military force, more than half. 36% said diplomacy alone.
And the last one is, what's the greatest threat to America? 38% say North Korea, only 25% say ISIS, then comes Russia, China, and Iran. A couple of things. South Korea's missile defense system, that THAAD missile system, which has the Chinese bent out of shape, it's going to be ready to come online in a matter of days. And no one has the answer to this. China's going through a series of defensive drills and war games. They're game planning this out. Are they wondering how they will act? Are they expecting a U.S. attack? And what exactly, what message are we supposed to be getting from this? Even from South Korea, who's undergoing an election right now. Also, when you look at what's happening in that region, the question is, what took place in that briefing with those 100 senators, where some people like Tammy Duckworth said it was a waste of time, and others like Senator Coons said, is this sobering? And it was briefed not by Donald Trump, but by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and our Secretary of Defense. It makes me wonder if we're in a place we've never been before about a nemesis and a problem that's been around for 30 years.
You know, when you look at these polls, what it reminds me of, I didn't realize that most people out there, they think that North Korea is a bigger threat than ISIS. That surprised me.
Nuclear program, proliferator.
What I learned from this is I feel like Americans are saying, we're not going to take it anymore. We're tired of this. We're tired of other countries telling us how to respond and bullying us. And I feel like this president is saying, you know what, we're going to try everything we can for diplomacy. If that doesn't work, this could be the result, military force.
But it's not Iraq.
Most importantly, we've got China on our side, seemingly this time. So let's see what happens. Meanwhile,
the only thing difference I'd just like to add, Steve, if I could, is it's not Iraq. This is a million-man army with 7 million in reserves. They have nuclear sites in which we can't identify all of them. Nobody thinks that we can hit them all right away in a preemptive strike.
With a dictator.
Even though their military parade was full of balloons and papier-mâché rockets, we don't know for sure what is going on there.
Right. With a dictator who's telling them, God knows what he's telling all of his people. I'm sure when McCain said, when Senator of Journalism there, the newspapers and messaging.
200,000 in what amounts to concentration camps.
That's right. Meanwhile, we did mention at the top of the program, today is day 99 of the president's 100 days, first 100 days in office. And, you know, the White House really did want a second vote on Obamacare. And House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy confirmed last night, no vote this week. That's not good news for the White House. The problem is they just don't have the votes. The House Republican leadership knows that they can afford 22 defections. They have at least 21 against it at this point, and many more undecided. So what they're doing today is they're trying to pass a 1-week continuing resolution that would give them enough money to fund the government for the balance of fiscal year 2017.
And Freedom Caucus is on board now. They were all or nothing. So if you're going to be part of the Freedom Caucus, we're all on board with this now. But it's the moderates that are having a problem with it now, with some of the changes.
Well, they say 80% of the Freedom Caucus. Guys like Justin Amash, who's a conservative out of Michigan, says, I'm not answering right now. You have a moderate like Dan Donovan who said, listen, I can't get behind this. He says the tax credit for people helping pay for premiums is not there. You also have a New York congressman who is not behind it. So you have a lot of people that just won't answer when they're asked how they're going to vote. So there's too much of a risk, so they won't put it forward, which means they got to make some changes if it is indeed possible to satisfy moderate Republicans and conservative Republicans. It might not be possible.
Are you okay with the Republicans being split on this?
Well, they just don't have the numbers. Yeah. I mean, they just don't have the numbers.
Do you think they should have gotten together before the first 100 days to try to pass it?
What we're watching is C-SPAN. We're watching this whole thing take place before our eyes. And as things leak out to different to outlets, we're finding this guy's not with it, this woman can't vote for it, this one isn't board. The one thing is clear. Not one Democrat has jumped the line. And maybe Republicans, to their detriment, aren't even trying.
Democrats got it right. And you probably don't agree with Obamacare, but they knew how to give their president a win at the time. And they got that right. A lot of people don't like Obamacare, but at least they were behind their president. I feel like the Republican Party is so split within Congress that he has his hands tied. So he wants something, the country wants something, but the Republicans in Congress can't get it together.
The Democrats certainly were unified when it came to passing Obamacare.
Even though they didn't read the bill.
There you go. Well, you had to pass the bill before you could read it. Meanwhile, yesterday, we had been telling you for the last week, Ann Coulter was scheduled to go to the University of California at Berkeley yesterday. She did not go. She canceled because they could not provide the security according to the university, and so she said, I can't go. I just can't go. And there you can see, screen right, cops in riot gear were prepped for possible violence between her supporters and the people who were anti-Coulter people. You know, she's a hero to a lot of people. At least 6 people were arrested and hundreds gathered, as you can see right there, to yell at each other, essentially. It was predominantly, though, peaceful.
I love what these GOP lawmakers in Wisconsin are doing. They are pushing a bill that would see students expelled if they are to attack or stop a speaker on different campuses. It's the conservative Goldwater Institute addressing these recent problems has put this forward. Some lawmakers in Wisconsin are pushing it forward, and I think it's about time people of all different beliefs get a chance to do this thing called talk behind a podium.
Well, you know it's a bad thing when you have Joy Behar, you have Whoopi Goldberg, you have Bill Maher, you even have Bernie Sanders saying that she should be speaking, that Ann Coulter should have been allowed to speak at Berkeley.
She's talking immigration. I mean, my goodness, you know what you got. She's already on the record. Let her go out there and interact. And the thing is, and maybe they feel as though they can't outspeak her or outdebate her because she'll open up the floor and she will debate you. But instead of allowing her to debate or taking her on, you do the cowardice thing of preventing her from going on.
Yeah, they don't like her message, so they're using the military thing or the safety thing to prevent her from speaking. I can guarantee if you called New York City cops to come out there, they could protect her.
Well, free speech definitely not alive and well at Berkeley out in California. All right, it is 6:12 now on this Friday, and Jackie Ibanez joins us with Fox News Alert.
Yeah,
hey,
that's
Jackie.
right. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
And good morning to all of you at home. A Fox News Alert calls for an investigation after the last of 4 Arkansas death row inmates is killed by lethal injection. Witnesses say Kenneth Williams, as seen there, a convicted murderer, lurched and convulsed after being administered the fatal drugs. Williams' execution, the last in the state's effort to put inmates to death by the end of the month before their lethal injection drug expires. And 2 American troops making the ultimate sacrifice in the fight against terror. The Pentagon says 2 service members killed, another injured in raids against ISIS fighters in northeast Afghanistan. It's the same area where the U.S. dropped the mother of all bombs on an ISIS camp there earlier this month, killing nearly 100 terrorists. And a big day for President Trump as he heads to Atlanta for an historic speech at the NRA convention there. He is the first sitting president to do so since Ronald Reagan back in 1983. This comes as Georgia lawmakers debate over a new concealed carry law. Also happening today, the president signing an executive order to reduce our reliance on foreign oil and gas. It could lead to more offshore drilling. And those are your headlines. Back to you guys this morning.
That's another thing off of his bucket list. He had mentioned he would do it.
You know,
and
he's
looks
checking
like
them
he's
off.
do it on day 99. He's going to do it.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yes, ma'am. Meanwhile, Texas just took a major step on cracking down on sanctuary cities. But now, a message from Democrats. Prepare for a reckoning.
And we just told you in great detail, North Korea is stepping up its rhetoric big time, including video. So what should the Trump administration do about it? What are they prepared to do? What are their options? Jillian Turner, who worked for former presidents President Obama and Bush, promises to weigh in. Come on in.
That we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
The White House on edge this morning as tensions rise between the U.S. and North Korea. So how should the Trump administration respond to these increasing threats? Here now to weigh in is former Director of Legislative Affairs at the White House National Security Council and current Vice President of Jones Group, Jillian Turner. Jillian, good to see you.
Morning.
Good morning. So what did you think of his response, saying we might have to use military force?
Well, I think that's something that's obvious. It's been on the table for many, many years. I think that during the Obama years, officials really shied away from using that kind of language. But President Trump has decided that he's going to kind of harness all the tools in his toolbox and put it out there as a means of deterring them from really doing anything crazy.
Is it refreshing to hear that from a president?
It is, but in this situation with a nuclearized adversary, I think there's particular risks. So the president knows this. No one needs to tell him that. But, for example, he is in constant contact last week with China and with South Korea and with Japan on this issue. Those foreign heads of state have all been urging caution and restraint and don't escalate anything. And President Trump is not listening to them. He is forging ahead. He's blazing his own trail based on what he believes are America's national security interests, which is admirable, but it has risks.
You know, when he ran, I remember the Democrats saying, you want to put his hand on the nuclear code or put the nuclear code in his hands, he's going to be trigger happy. But we're seeing a difference here. We're seeing, first of all, he said we're praying for peace. Secondly, we're going to try for diplomacy. We're trying to get a relationship with China so that we can prevent something from happening with North Korea. But last resort, he's basically saying, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to maybe if we have to, we might have to go to war to stop this guy.
It's smart power, which I hate to borrow a Hillary Clinton term to describe what President Trump is doing, but it really is. It's a combination of diplomacy, hitting the gas pedal full speed on diplomacy, but also using a little bit of military, not taking military action against North Korea, but
threatening them
conducting
at least.
Exercises off the Korean peninsula, escalating the rhetoric. It's really what he's doing right now. I think that's the best we can hope for.
How about these polls? This morning, we're showing a Fox News poll that 53%, the majority of the people polled, they favor taking military action in North Korea. Also, they're saying that the biggest threat to the U.S. is not ISIS. 38% said North Korea, 25% said ISIS. So there's a big difference.
In my estimation, they're right. North Korea, it may not have been front and center throughout the whole election campaign cycle the last 2 years, the way ISIS and radical Islam was, but it's an existential threat, meaning any nuclearized foreign state that is willing to potentially use that against the United States presents an existential threat, and so it's something that everybody needs to take really seriously. I think the results of those polls are really smart.
Thank you so much, Jillian, for being here.
Ainsley.
You're welcome. And this Women's March organizer isn't just a convicted terrorist anymore. What she just admitted in court that's getting her deported. Elizabeth Warren isn't happy with Barack Obama for his $400,000 Wall Street payday. We're going to talk about that.
Cincinnati airport admitting to FBI agents that he wanted to travel to Turkey. He is a citizen of Jordan and had been under surveillance since January when he broke into the Turkish embassy in Washington, D.C. And a convicted terrorist who led the charge in the Day Without Women strike now facing deportation to Jordan. Rasmia Oda pleading guilty to immigration fraud for failing to disclose her past. She spent 10 years in prison for bombing a Jerusalem supermarket that killed 2 college students. And that is some of the news, and now showbiz.
In the new movie called The Circle, one girl lands her dream job at a mysterious tech company only to find out that their secret agenda comes with a cost.
Knowing is good, but knowing everything is better. So, May, is there anything you want to tell us? The possibilities are endless.
The Circle opens everywhere today, but is it worth your box office bucks?
Fox News contributor and the founder of NerdTears.com, Kevin McCarthy, was forced to see this movie, and, well, Kev, you're not as positive as you would think.
Right. Ainsley, Brian, Steve, good morning to you. Yeah, I just saw it about 8.5 hours ago, by the way, because they actually didn't screen the film to critics here in Washington, D.C. And generally speaking, when they don't screen a film, it's usually not a good sign. Exactly. And they're trying to hide the film from critics. So I went and saw it last night. I'm wondering, how could this possibly be bad? You have a great filmmaker who made The Spectacular Now, a great film. You have a great cast, Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, John Boyega, Karen Gillan, Patton Oswalt, and then you have a great writer, Dave Eggers, a great composer, Danny Elfman. How could this possibly go wrong? And it really does beg this interesting question about social media and technology. And the concept is this company wants to take away basically all of our privacy, and we basically live our lives and overshare everything. It's essentially what we're doing now, but like obviously times 1,000, like with social media and what we're doing. But it really does have an interesting concept, and it really kind of makes you think. And that's the thing. I'm wondering, how could this possibly get messed up? The problem is it's frustratingly sloppy. You could tell that there were things not written well. The script is very, very, very bad. Ooh. Emma Watson, for me, I love her in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. She was very wooden in this performance. I thought that Tom Hanks, he's always great. Bill Paxton, by the way, his final performance, he's great in the film. There are some good things that go with the performances, but the overall idea is lost because the script, it feels like the actors are reading the script for the first time when you're watching some of the dialogue.
Unbelievable.
And I just found the film to be... Yeah, and I found it to be frustrating. And this was a film that was primarily shot in 2015. And I know they had some early reshoots earlier this year, but this movie really does. Right. To me, there's a great show on Netflix called Black Mirror, and that show talks about the idea of social media and oversharing. It's a very similar concept, but done in a much better way. If you want to see something like this, just watch Black Mirror on Netflix. Okay. This movie I gave a 1.5 out of 5 to. I thought it was poorly acted overall.
Why did these big stars sign up for it? Why did they sign up for a movie that's going to be such a flop?
Ainsley, it's a great question. Tom Hanks produced the movie. That's why I'm trying to figure out what happened. That's why, you know, sometimes you sit in a movie theater and you go, how could this possibly have gone wrong, considering who's behind this film? So, I don't know. I found it to be... My wife looked at me last night and she said, Kevin, this is basically a bad episode of Black Mirror. And that show, by the way, is amazing. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out there.
Well, it's great that your wife turned to you, because then you were able to turn that conversation into an earlier ad lib on this program.
That's right.
That is true, yeah. And by the way, there are some great films out right now if you want to see some things in theaters. The Fate of the Furious is definitely one of the ones I loved. An amazing action movie with Vin Diesel. I loved it. If you're a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, I do recommend seeing that. It's close to making $1 billion, if not already. Also, Logan and Get Out are also two films that are in theaters. Yeah, The Fate of the Furious was the largest opening in the history of cinema globally. It was insane how well that film did. It made like $900 million in the first 10 days. But that's a really good film. Okay. Logan's great. Get Out's great. And then La La Land's available on Blu-ray if you want to watch that.
Okay. All right. Or you could stay home and just talk to each other. I mean, you could.
Like the olden days.
Yeah.
All right. Or listen to the radio.
It sounds like they watch movies together and they talk about
it. I mean, it would be so annoying watching a movie with Kevin and his wife.
Well, they're both movie critics. All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
It's the greatest.
Best to your wife.
What?
I love you guys so much.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I just think being married to a film critic is the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. It's amazing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we already made our choices, but I'll keep that in mind.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Kevin. What is it? We should have married news anchors?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, come, let's go home and read the prompter together, honey. All right. Nothing more romantic. Let's find out the misspellings in the prompter. All right. Let's look for the vowel. All right. Protests at Berkeley erupt after Ann Coulter was forced to cancel her speech amid rising threats of violence. So why do liberals think free speech only exists for them?
And it didn't take long for the mainstream media to label Trump's tax plan as tax cuts for the wealthy.
Should someone making more than $150 million pay less than a 5% federal tax rate?
Mr. Secretary, as you know, a lot of the reports and a lot of the reporting on this says this is a lot of tax cuts for the rich. Congress.
And it just went on and on like that. Stuart Varney is here on this Friday. He'll be with us on the other side of a quick timeout.
Work day at the White House.
The commander-in-chief posting this photo online, surrounded by all those children who we presume belong to staff members there at the White House.
Oh, they are the luckiest kids in the world. The children in the press corps got to sit in their parents' chairs for a special briefing with Press Secretary Sean Spicer.
That President Trump is looking for in the renegotiation of the NAFTA.
Who are your parents?
All the kids are sitting in their parents' seats.
That's hilarious.
And normally when you watch this scene, if the correspondents are sitting there, they just stare at Sean Spicer when someone's yelling out a question from behind them. But all the kids, when someone behind them asks a question, they all go.
Who was that? Yeah. Right.
So cute.
And of course, like every kid, they're curious about NAFTA.
He was trying to explain NAFTA to the kids.
Good luck. Good luck to explain
I don't even know
it
if
to a
we all
grown-up.
understand it exactly.
Meanwhile, mainstream media has a lot of questions about President Trump's tax plan. So far, we've only heard principles. As long as rich, it's all about giving benefits to the rich. Watch this.
Candidate Trump was on this show telling our viewers a year ago that he believed in raising taxes on the wealthy, including himself. Would you acknowledge that the reform plan you have laid out does the exact opposite? In fact, it is a dramatic cut in taxes for the wealthy.
I just want to ask you one more time on this. The principle. This is the principle. Should someone making more than $150 million pay less than a 5% federal tax rate?
Mr. Secretary, as you know, a lot of the reports and a lot of the reporting on this says this is a lot of tax cuts for the rich. And if that is portrayed as such, you'll have a tough time in Congress.
Are any of those journalists curious about what it means for the middle class and for other people that are affected, for the rest of us?
Let's talk to Stuart Varney. He joins us right now live. Stuart?
It is astonishing the way the media is characterizing the president's proposals. A giveaway to the rich. How many times have we heard that in the last 15 years, for heaven's sake? Let's get it straight. Everybody, every single person in America who pays federal income tax will get a tax cut. The biggest cut in tax rates goes to the middle class. For example, there's a 15% maximum tax rate on small businesses. That's down from 39%.
That's a huge savings.
That's a middle-class tax cut that is huge and affects tens of millions of Americans. Rich people, by contrast, they get a cut from 39 to 35%. Hardly the same kind of cut as middle-income people.
They were going to knock it down to 25%. So to have it just go down 4 points is significant.
Yes, it is.
It was President Obama that jacked it up after he won re-election.
Look, this is a very tired response to the idea of cutting taxes. It's a giveaway to the rich. What I notice now is that it's not just confined to the pundits who are saying this and to the editorial pages. It's bleeding over into the news pages. Look at this from the New York Times this morning. This is from the news pages of the New York Times. I'm going to quote for you, okay?
If you want, you could read it.
I'll read it right now. The outline that Mr. Trump offered on Wednesday, less a tax overhaul plan than a list of costly cuts with no price tags attached, rushed out by the president, staring down his 100-day mark. That is editorial in a news item. It tells you that they're a Johnny One Note. All it is a giveaway to the rich. That's all it is.
Ultimately, though, the impetus for this is to get the economy going. Because the more people have in their pockets, whether you're a person or a corporation or a small business or whatever, is you're going to be able to put that towards something else and buy something else, and that just gets the wheels of our capitalism moving.
Two things. They will say that the rich people who get a tax break, they won't spend that money, therefore it won't have any impact on the economy. Wrong. They may well invest it, and investment
That's why they're
makes
rich.
a big
They
difference.
know how to make money.
Secondly, middle-class people get this enormous tax cut. That goes right into the economy. That stimulates the economy. That gives us growth down the road. That's it. Now, wait a second. In about 45 minutes, an hour and so, we're going to get a report from the government that growth in the economy in the first quarter of the year was terrible. Absolutely terrible. The left will say, that's all Donald Trump's fault. Well, show me the left's growth plan, please. They don't like the president's growth plan. What's theirs? They don't have one.
Sure.
They just don't have one.
And it's the same with taxes. I mean, the left and mainstream media may be complaining about the taxes and his proposed cuts, but what's their idea? I mean, every person watching would love to pay less tax.
Yes. What is their idea? Yeah. Spend more government money and tax more, tax and spend? That's the old way of doing it. It didn't work. Right. What's wrong with the new way? You cut taxes, especially for the middle class, and you grow the economy.
I actually do. So I want to curious to see the answer, because without deductions, how can you honestly say that the rich are getting a 5%, paying 5% in taxes? Because the thing they did is eliminate a lot of the deductions and a lot of the loopholes.
Rich people pay a whole bunch of money in state taxes, state income taxes. They are no longer deductible. Rich people take a hit.
All right.
Big one.
We're going to be watching you at 9 o'clock this morning over on Fox Business.
Good.
Stuart,
until
thank
noon.
you.
All the way through till noon.
All right.
Good show.
Thank you, Stuart. Happy
Thank
Friday.
You. Thank you.
All right, Jackie's over there. She has some headlines for us. Good morning, our friend.
Good morning, and good morning, Varney. Nice to see you here. Well, 3 inmates facing possible attempted murder charges after they viciously attacked several correctional officers. Look at this. The brawl caught on camera right here in a maximum security prison in Chicago. Those outnumbered officers running for their lives to call in reinforcements. Both were taken to the hospital. One has a broken eye socket but is expected to be okay. And Texas Democrats fighting back after the state house approves a bill to withhold funding for sanctuary cities. They fought for 16 hours trying to block the proposal, something Democratic leaders now say was all part of a bigger plan.
It was done for the purposes of setting this thing up for where we know it needs to go, which is a courthouse. Somewhere down the line, what happened yesterday and some of the votes that were taken, there's going to be a repercussion, and there's going to be a reckoning for what happened.
Well, the House must now work with the Senate before sending a bill to the governor. And progressives stunned by former President Obama's $400,000 payday for a speech on Wall Street. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren unable to defend it. Listen.
I was troubled by that, the influence of money. I describe it as a snake that slithers through Washington.
Despite the outrage, the former president just banked another $400,000 for a speech last night in New York City from the network A&E. It's a lot of money there. And those are your headlines. $800,000 altogether for 2 speeches.
So far, so good.
That's a pretty good paycheck.
That's a great paycheck.
Yeah, I'd love that.
For 2 hours.
Not bad, right?
Yeah. Just taking money from the fat cats. All right, thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. A sad day for free speech with arrests and protests at Berkeley instead of Ann Coulter. So why do liberals think the First Amendment only applies to them?
It's a crazy town full of neon dreams. Everybody plays, everybody sings. Hollywood with a touch of twang. To be a star, you gotta bang, bang, bang.
That.
There are ways of dealing with violence. That's why we have a police force. The police captain's argument was, we can't have Ann Coulter. There's going to be violence. Well, I don't know. Call a cop. What's your job?
So why do liberals think the First Amendment only applies to them? The president of Berkeley College Republicans and a correspondent at campusreform.org, Troy Warden, joins us right now with a reaction. Troy, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us today from San Francisco.
Thank you for having me on.
So what do you think about her argument? Hey, the cops can protect me. There's obviously a double standard at play here.
That's absolutely true. It's the job of the University Police Department to ensure the safety of students and attendees at political events and speaking events such as ours. And the fact that the university effectively told the cops to stand down, that's in effect silencing our right to free speech, and it's making our events dangerous, and we can't move forward with them if we can't guarantee the safety of the attendees or the speaker.
Troy, explain what you meant when you said the police were told to back down. That was given the fact that a couple of months ago, Milo was out there and there were violent demonstrations and protests and riots as well. So if something like that happened, the cops were told just let them burn the place down?
Well, essentially, that's what happened on February 1st when we invited Milo Yiannopoulos to speak. They did not intervene. They did not use all the resources at their disposal to keep the crowd under control, and the event got canceled. And guess what? Now Ann Coulter was canceled because the university essentially told us that the police department would not intervene to protect our attendees unless there was a life-threatening situation. So in other words, the police were told not to do their jobs.
Another example of how there is a double standard on how Berkeley handles conservative speakers versus liberal or progressive speakers is their curfew. Explain how that works.
Well, the amazing thing is the university, without even notifying us, in consultation with the University Police Department and the City of Berkeley, designed a policy that's unwritten, that's subjective, that's arbitrary, that essentially says that high-profile speakers, such as Ann Coulter, can't speak past 3 p.m. Now, this is being applied unequally because the former president of Mexico, an ardent Trump critic, Vicente Fox, was able to speak past 3 p.m. just a few days after we had canceled our David Horowitz event. Right. In other words, high-profile speaker for the university means conservative speaker. So conservative speech is being curtailed at the university through an unwritten policy, and we have yet to see the university present us with something in writing, something that we can actually fight against.
The whole idea of a university is that's where you go to hear other ideas. Universities, Troy, are not supposed to take sides.
No, they're not. You go to a university in order to hear different points of view. What we wanted to do, what the Berkeley College Republicans wanted to do, was make people understand where Trump supporters are coming from in terms of the immigration debate. And we were absolutely unable to do that. I detail at length in my article for campusreform.org exactly all the measures and parameters the university put on place to ensure that our event could not go through. It's quite unfortunate. Now students have been deprived of their intellectual right, which is to hear a different point of view.
Absolutely. It certainly is a stain on the legacy of Berkeley. Troy, we thank you very much for getting up so early out in San Francisco, where it is 3:48 in the morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right. What do you think about that? Please email us, friends@foxnews.com. Meanwhile, take a look right over there. This Bluetooth headset and armband combo is perfect for runners, and you can buy it for $70. Or stick around for our exclusive Mega Morning deal, and you can get it for 70% off.
Fox and Friends viewers, right, Janice?
Yes, here with some mega sales is our spokesperson, Megan Meany.
Hi, ladies.
How are you?
Great.
Are we going to the spa today?
Oh, it looks like you two are. Look at those robes. We'll get to those in a minute.
They're
we have
amazing.
So many great products today. Don't forget to go to the Fox and Friends website and find the Mega Morning Deals icon. That's where you're going to get all this great stuff. Let's start with the Bluetooth headset. So here it is around my neck. You can just put the little earbuds in your ear, and you can talk on the phone for up to 6 hours or listen to music. And you've got this armband with LED lights, so if you go out at night for a jog, people will see you.
And at the club.
So you can go for a little run, you can listen to music. These are, you know, this is technology. This stuff costs money, $70 usually. But today, ladies,
how much?
$21. Wow.
So you can talk on the phone without having your phone. You don't have to carry around your phone.
You do need to have your phone. You have to have your phone
in there.
hooked up on Bluetooth. So you put it on Bluetooth, and then you can talk. There's volume control, and there's a microphone
So you can
here.
cook or do whatever.
Sure,
Your
you have
hands
to
are
have your
free.
phone nearby. Yes.
Okay. What about these?
Okay, these are jewelry cases. So they're fine leather, really nice quality leather. You have the jewelry rolls where you can bring
Great
a
for
bunch of
travel.
stuff on the road. Great for you ladies to travel all the time for work. And then we have, look at her, she's like
I know, I
Vanna.
love this. I've always
Vanna
wanted to
White.
be a hand model.
And this one holds 5 watches. These are real fine genuine leather and inside soft suede. Really nice, you guys. Up to $100
How many
retail
watches does your
typically.
husband have?
I know.
Does he-
I was thinking
they
about
love
this.
watches.
Well, there's like the Apple Watch, then there's the watch for like going out at
Good
night,
gift.
then there's like the work
lovely.
watch. Lots of watches. So up to $100 normally, but today 77%, no, more than 77% off. 71%, sorry.
So they're $29.
That's
awesome.
I'm
How about
jumping
for those
ahead.
folks who have pets and
Okay.
don't want their furniture to get dirty?
So this is a pet bed furniture protector. So you see the little cozy roll here that they can roll up on. It's quilted. It is machine washable. She's so good at this. And it's waterproof, so you don't have to get all that pet hair on your furniture. It retails for $110 if you can believe that. But today it is only $25, 77% off.
Well, we are so excited about all the gifts, but I think the one Janice and I love the most is this one.
You think?
These are so
bathrobes.
comfortable. Janice, do you know this is a company called Frette?
Are you doing the
very
the
nice
rest of
company.
your show in these?
I
this
wish.
is schmancy. They have these at like the top hotels.
I
all
know.
over the
How
world.
much- how much do
and
they
sell them
normally
at
go
Neiman
for?
Marcus. Normally they go for $220.
How much are they
But
today?
Today they are on sale, 74% off. $59.
I'm going to take all of
Total
these.
deal. Shawl,
That is a
collar,
great
terry
men and
cloth, super soft, unisex.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
They're awesome.
They're just cozy and warm.
I guess we only have 2 left. Okay, and finally, cultured pearls, the real deal.
Pearls.
These come with a certificate of authenticity. Look at all this beautiful pearl jewelry. It also comes in really nice packaging. So does the jewelry cases, by the way, over there. You don't have to wrap this stuff if you're giving them
How
as
much
gifts.
are they?
Blue box here. These retail $65 up to $450 for pearls typically, but today you're going to get them from anywhere from $24 to $85.
Look at
So pretty. I love, and these are black pearls are so in right now, so I love that
And it's
bracelet
Mother's Day coming up.
there.
That's true.
So we have all sorts of great ideas. Remember, all on the Fox and Friends website, Mega Morning Deals. Are these deals or what, ladies?
These are
Pretty
deals.
incredible.
I am wearing this bathrobe all morning long.
Are those our pearls or yours?
Oh, these are yours.
Those
but,
are yours.
Oh, they're
Look
mine
at them.
now.
Aren't they beautiful?
All right.
They look great. Okay,
Megan,
there might
thank you
be
so
nothing
much.
left
We
for
have-
any of you at home, but good luck.
And you have more you're giving away later in the
Coming
show, too,
back.
right? All right, go to our
Coming
website.
back.
It's Mega Morning Deals, only for you, our viewers. All right, straight ahead, Judge Janine Pirro and Geraldo Rivera are going to join us live, and Steve is flying an F-35 fighter jet in a flight simulator. We're going to put the revolutionary technology to test coming up.
Deliberate strategy, which we are just in the early stages of executing.
He's going to kind of harness all the tools in his toolbox and put it out there as a means of deterring them.